Good morning students. Today we are starting with unit 1.4 Revti's musical plants. In the yesterday's session we have done warming up of the activities. I hope that you have understood affirmative and negative sentences. So try to practice by taking some more examples given in the textbook as well as find some more examples in the other lessons also. So today we'll start with Revti's musical plants. This story is of one girl named Revti. And as I earlier told you, that music has great impact on human beings as well as animals and plants also. So this is very difficult to imagine, but it is reality. Means music can have a great effect on the animals, human beings, as well as on the living beings in the nature. There's such one interesting story we are going to learn today of one girl named Revti. So let's start. Revti was a student of music. One who is interested in music, maybe any musical instrument or vocals, is called as a student interested in music. So Revati was a student of music. She was learning, she was practicing, she was doing a lot of rehearsal of music. She was happy playing her violin whenever she was free, and she was playing the instrument named violin, and that violin she was playing whenever she was getting free time. It was her hobby. So when it is a hobby, the person removes the time when he is free and uses that for practicing particular hobby. So she was spending a lot of time every day on playing violin when she was free. There was a small open courtyard in front of her house. And in the olden days, in the villages, we have such type of houses where in front of the house we can get the open courtyard, open space. And that open courtyard was there in front of our house with small cement bench. And cement bench might be kept to sit on that in the early morning or evening time, okay, when you are free. She would sit on that bench and practice her violin. So whenever she was getting free time, she used to sit on that bench and practice to play her violin. Here the word practice is used as verb, Practice. So it is a verb, but when we write the spelling Practice, then that practice is called as noun, practice. Okay. So she was practicing, Miss Verb, she was practicing on her violin, and there were a few potted plants in the courtyard. Generally, we keep some potted plants because we like some flowering plants around our home in the courtyard. So they too have placed few potted plants in the courtyard. And while playing on the violin one day, she noted a pot of balsam plant near the wall. So balsam plant is a plant generally which gives us pink or the white color flowers, or even it is also called as periwinkle in English, and in Marathi we call it sadapuli. So this periwinkle or balsam plant was near her wall. The plants were not looking normal, but those plants of balsam were not looking normal. They were looking somewhat dull, faint, not fresh looking. They had pale green leaves and their growth was stunted. The leaves of that plant were pale. Pale means not fresh. Opposite of fresh is pale. So the green leaves were pale and their growth was stunted. Means many days and months it has not shown any kind of growth in the stem or the leaves or even the plant also. The growth was stunted, means slow growth is called as stunted growth. She remembered she had learned in the lower classes that plants need light for normal growth. And then she had studied in this small classes that every plant needs sunlight for growing. So she thought, might be this plant is not getting sufficient amount of light. So that's why she shifted the pot to the center of the courtyard where there was ample sunlight. Ample means lot of, sufficient. So when she found that in the center of the courtyard we can get lot of sunlight, plenty of sunlight, ample of sunlight, then she shifted that plant in the center of the courtyard. Okay, let us see what happened further. While shifting the pot, an idea struck to Revati. Why not participate in the best plant contest which was to be held in her colony a few weeks later? And then she started thinking that okay, now we are shifting this plant, but in our colony, one competition has been announced to select the best plant. In this contest means competition. In this competition, why shouldn't I participate? And then she decided that it is there after few weeks. Okay, so I have sufficient time with me to work on this plant, and this plant I can make one of the best plants, and I may get the first prize in this contest. Thus, making up her mind, she watered the plants and sat down on the bench and started playing her violin. Then she went inside her home, she brought a little bit water in the mug, she watered that plant, and then she sat down on that cement bench and started playing her violin because it was her hobby. She wanted to practice violin. She was student of music. That's why she started playing violin on the bench. She was very fond of raga Mohanam. Okay, and she played the raga for some time and then went in for her studies. And then she started playing one her favorite raga Mohanam. You know, raga is kind of a musical composition, and this musical composition generally is having strict classical notations. So when you follow these strict classical notations, it becomes a raga. So raga can be so many in Tansin story. You will find raga Megha, okay, means by, or even there are some ragas which will convey the impact of morning or even impact of evening, impact of the afternoon, impact of anger, impact of happiness. So this way different kinds of ragas are there. So she was liking Mohanam. So she started playing that Mohanam raga for some time, and then she went in for her studies. After that, every day Revati would sit on the bench and watch her potted plants. They were growing well and looking healthier than other plants in the far end of the courtyard. Then every day she used to come out, sit on that bench, water the plant, and start watching. And again, that slowly the plant was growing well. Then the plant slowly started looking healthier than the other plants in the far end of that courtyard. And one day, as she was playing, she noticed a movement in her potted plant. And surprisingly, one day she was sitting on the bench and playing violin, and she observed little bit movement in the plant, and she thought that slowly the plant is moving its stem, bending its stem towards Revati. She wondered why they were moving as there was no breeze. You know, breeze means a slow kind of wind movement. Okay, so there was not at all any movement of breeze. Then how is this plant moving or bending towards her? It struck her as odd. It was surprising to her. She could not imagine. She could not accept this strange behavior of the plant. Okay, because the plant was really moving towards her. And then next evening too she played on her violin as usual and watched the potted plants with care. Again she neglected that event. Next day again in the evening she was playing on her violin as usual and watched that once again the potted plants she was started watching. After some time, like the previous day, previous day means earlier day, like the previous day there was definite movement in her plants. Once again there were definite movements, slight movement in the plants. Plant was moving, bending towards her. They all bent towards her. These all the plant's branches bent towards her. This astonished and surprised her. Astonished means shocked. She could not believe. She could not accept the reality that the plants can move, bend towards her because of the musical impact. This astonished and surprised her, and that day also there was no breeze. Okay, if it is a breeze or wind movement, we can imagine the plant's branches will surely move, bend here and there. But without any breeze, how this plant moved, that was a surprising and astonishing thing for Revati. Okay, so let us see what happens further in the story in the next period. Till that time, once again go through it and write down the new words in your notebook and click the photo and send me on my WhatsApp.